I've listed all the BLs that I've watched, even the ones that I haven't finished and stuff like that. So in the last year and a bit, we've watched not as much as I thought, but more than I thought at the same time. So basically, the way this is going to work, I've created 5 tiers, like masterpieces. So masterpieces is essentially going to be the series that are just like so good, just like amazing, like there's nothing I can criticize about, right? Can't believe we used to think you were straight. People always say that is like first impressions immediately is like, oh yeah, that's a straight man, and then they get to know me, like they have a 1-minute conversation with me, and they're like, oh nah, don't worry about that. It's such a common thing, even in real life, that I get that. Anyway, masterpieces is just like no mistakes, like just brilliant. Bangers is like really good. I enjoyed it. Bangers is like I really enjoyed it, but it's not like perfect. Solid is just like, yeah, it's a solid show, but it's not a perfect show. Fun is like a show that's not that good, but I had fun with. And then dropped it, not my cup of tea, basically, is self-explanatory. The thing that made me realize you weren't was the Lino obsession, honestly. I feel like that's such a thing, actually. I think like that's where you spot them. That's where you spot the fruits, is if they really are intrigued by Lino or really like Lino, they're most likely got some fruit on their platter. Yeah, I feel like idols wise, I feel like there's obviously it is a generalization, but I feel like there's certain idols that if someone really likes, you kind of raise an eyebrow. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like your biases and who you're interested in really does hint at, it hints at yeah, like I'm gonna be straight up. Like, I get the Hyunjin Felix hype. Like, they are very attractive, but I feel like it's such a straight man's crush. You know what I mean? Like, being into Felix is like, it's if I'm watching a reactor and something and they're simping for Felix, I'm like, oh, they're probably straight. Like, it's just such a straight man's crush. 100%. I agree. Like, Hyunjin is a bit more, like, sometimes I can raise an eyebrow. It could be either or, but Felix, 1,000,000%. Have you seen New Big Hit? I have been seeing some, like, clips and stuff from this new group called, like, I've heard of them. I don't know anything about it, but I have heard of it. I've seen it in the interwebs. Anyway, that's enough yapping. Let's get into this. So we're going to start from this end and then just continue. So the shows that we have just on list, just so you guys know. So we have Blooming, Cherry Blossoms After Winter, Cherry Magic, Japanese version. I still haven't watched the Thai one. Given, Heaven Official's Blessing, Kiseki Dear to Me, Taekwondo Be Free. I think that's what it's called. Light on Me, Love for Love's Sakes, Love in the Big City, Moonlight Chicken, My Love Mixup Japanese version, My School President, Our Dating Sim, Secret Relationships, Semantic Error. What's this one? This is, what's this? The 8th Sense and To My Star. Those are the shows. Those are shows, right? So, now, let's get into this. Okay, so Blooming is, yes, it's up there. It's a master. Oh, actually, no, it's a masterpiece. I'm gonna say it's a masterpiece. There's nothing I could, like, I feel like if I was to have one criticism about Blooming, I feel like they should have, if you've watched it, obviously, they should have focused a bit more on the impact of how the mum's behavior in Blooming fucking traumatized her kids. Like, I feel like they did ease up a bit too much on the way that she traumatized them, like with the obsession with like weight loss and being beautiful and all that shit. Definitely should have been honed in on a bit more. But other than that, man, this show was so good. Like, so good. I'm just trying to think. Do I have anything else to... You know, I'm going to drop Blooming down, actually, just because, like, thinking about it, I do think the lack of... what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? The lack of consequence for the mum's behavior brings it down slightly. I feel like they could have focused more in on that, for sure. But other than that, that show was a banger. Especially, I think Blooming, to me, had, when it comes to like sex scenes and that type of stuff, was the most artistically, beautifully done sex scenes I've ever seen in any of the BLs I've watched. Like, it's very like art house style sex scene. It's not like this, just like, oh, they're gonna fuck and you use a horny cunt, so we're gonna put this in front of you. No, it's very much like so artistically done. So yeah, that's a banger for sure. I feel like they forgave the one way too easily, and she didn't even... That's what I'm saying. 100%, that's what I'm saying. And I think that is more to do with a cultural thing, because it's not only like Korea that does this, but a lot of old-fashioned cultures, like Asian cultures, Middle Eastern cultures. I'm talking about Blooming right now. Like all these kind of old-fashioned cultures, when it comes to parents being in the wrong, even in dramas, there is this level of like, I don't need to apologize because I'm the parent, you know, like there's a level of that in, you know, those cultures. Because I speak from personal experience, like in Turkish culture, it's the same shit. It's like your elders can do the most horrific, dumb motherfucking shit, and you calling it out is suddenly you're the bad guy. And like I'm a bit of a black sheep a bit in the extended family, just because I always call out everyone's shit, and I'm not like, I'm gonna respect you just because you're older than me type guy. So I am a bit of a black sheep when it comes to like extended family, because I'm just like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard whenever they say some dumb shit. But yeah, my point is, I feel like when it comes to a lot of shows, that's where they fall short sometimes when it comes to like Asian dramas, is because of that. You've got to respect your elders no matter what they do, culture. So I think that's why in Blooming they didn't really make her have as much consequences as they should have. Anyway, that's my ranking, but it was a banger. Besides that, everything about it was perfect. Okay, next show, Cherry Blossoms After Winter. It was fun. Let's be straight up. I enjoyed it. But if we're looking at it objectively, it was like, okay, it was fine. It was cute. It was fun, but it was nothing special. Didn't explore any interesting like cultural or, you know, like social issues. It didn't really explore anything. It wasn't anything. They weren't trying to give a message. It was a cute little show. Now, I will say it had potential, because I remember I was reacting to it. Someone had a comment, and it was a theory how the mum in that secretly had like a crush on the other kid, the adopted kid's mum, and that's why she was so scared of them being together, because it didn't work out with his mum and her. So if they explored that, I feel like it could have been really interesting if that was true, and that could have been that if they actually went with that idea and folk honed in more on that, and that being the reason why she was so scared of them being together, then I think that would have been really much more interesting to watch. And, you know, you could have they could have really focused on. Oh, it was you. That's hilarious. But if they did that, you could have really focused on the generational difference of, I guess, the difference of bravery between the generations. Because I think that's a really interesting theme where, you know, his mum was too scared to chase after her love, while her son is brave enough to be like, I don't care. I love him, so I'm gonna do. You know, it's like breaking of cycles. You could have really done that. That would have been interesting as fuck, but it was pretty generic because of it was just that wasn't what was included at all. It was still fun to watch. It was a fun show. Don't get me wrong, but if we're trying to critically analyze it from a purely like narrative standpoint, then it wasn't anything special. I heard the webtoon that it's based off is like much more kind of much more serious, a bit more like hones in and a bit more interesting stuff, but I haven't read it personally. Anyway, okay, Cherry Magic Japanese version. I would say, this is a hard one. I'm gonna say solid because I really enjoyed it because I'm really bad with the names. What was the guy's Kurosawa, the handsome popular guy? He was such a green flag. So that just for that alone, it was solid. And I think the idea was interesting and fresh. It was like a really crazy, memey, typical anime kind of plot line, but it was done in such an interesting way, and I think they did a solid job with what the show was, you know. The only thing I would say, my only criticism of it is because I did rewatch it after my reaction. My criticism of it is probably the side relationship, the sub relationship. There is a bit. It makes me a bit uncomfortable because in hindsight, I watched it and I realized the sub relationship, the blonde kid is like 18, 19, and then the glasses guy is like in his 30s. So it was just like that. I found that out and I was like, that kind of makes me uncomfortable as fuck. Because I didn't really realize as I was reacting to it. So that's really one of the reasons it dropped for me, was the kind of weirdness of the second relationship in hindsight. The actual relationship itself wasn't like strange. It was quite a green flag relationship, but like the age gap, man, you guys know me. The age gaps make me way too uncomfortable. So yeah. And I feel like also additionally to what makes it drops in ranking is also obviously there's age gap, but there's also the fact that I think the glasses guy, Sube, I think his name was, I could see him working in an anime format, like he's very over the top, but because it's like a real, like, you know, live action format, I feel like it doesn't work. His character is just too over the top. It doesn't work in the format that it's in. Like as an anime, I could see him being funny as a character, and I could see him working as a character, but in this format, this live action format, it just doesn't work in my opinion. Age gaps just feel unnecessary. Yeah, exactly. Like why do they have, I don't mind an age gap, like 2, 3, 4 years, fine, whatever, but why do we need a 10, 15 year age? Why do we need those type of age gaps? Why can't they just be the same age? Also, if they want to do like a romance with like a uni student and like a professor type thing, then you can just have the uni student be in his mid-20s, you know, because the uni students aren't all 18 years old. Like it seems so, yeah. So I'm gonna say, honestly, this would be a banger if it wasn't for the side couple. I'm gonna be straight up. I think it would be a banger if it wasn't for the side couple. And it's not like other shows where the side couple is like it's a small part of it. They have a very it's more than a side couple. It's more like these two couples are both like main couples. That's how it feels in this show, because they both get a lot of screen time. So it's not something I can just be like, oh, I can just ignore that. So that's why it drops down to solid. Still a solid show. I would still recommend for people to watch it though. Okay, Given is a masterpiece. Given is a masterpiece. The exploration of mental illness, of getting over past traumas, of the importance of communication, the connection of music and emotion. Like, Given is just a masterpiece. Like, there's nothing I could criticize about Given. Is it? No, there's nothing I can criticize. Like, even the things that piss me off about Given, like the behavior of Kaji in the movie, like, that pissed me off. But from a narrative standpoint, it was really intriguing. It wasn't like bad storytelling. It was just he was pissing me off as a character. That's all it was. But everything about that show, if you haven't watched Given, you need to watch it 100%. Like, even if you're not interested in BLs, man, you got to watch Given, because I feel like the BL element of it is such a small segment. I feel like it's more about healing from past traumas than the love stuff, because there is a lot of the like BL moments. There is, it does exist, but I definitely feel like, it's so minuscule in comparison to the kind of analysis of trauma and mental illness and all that stuff. And the animation is beautiful. The music is amazing. Like, just from that, I would watch it. Anyway, Heaven Official's Blessing. Okay. I feel like this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to say it's solid. Now, this is going to be controversial because I know people love Heaven Official's Blessing. I really like it as well. But the reason I put it into solid is I think it's not the show's fault. It's more the country's fault. I think the reason it drops so low for me, because I think the severe like censorship, which is very clear even for someone that doesn't know the original source material, the clear censorship that I see sometimes, it just really takes away from the experience. Like, there'll be a scene when there'll be a scene that's clearly very romantic, heavy, and then they will just end it like, oh, we're just friends though, type vibe. Like, that's how they'll end the scene, and I'm just like, come on, bruh. Come on. The censorship is so clear to me in certain scenes where I'm just like, okay, what? But I will say, from the people that directed it and created it, I think they did the best they could to, have the innuendos in there so that everyone knew that these two were fucking on the low. You know what I mean? Everyone knew what was really going on, but they never really showed anything. I think it was solid though. It was solid for what they were allowed to do with the show. The animation was beautiful. Music was amazing. Voice acting was on point. The characters were interesting. I think probably one of the most fascinating things to me was kind of the way they flipped the whole kind of script in this way. It's like, when I was watching it, the whole show, I'm like, Hua Cheng is a fucking demon. He's a beast. He's terrifying. But then season 2 comes around and you realize, you know what? Hua Cheng's a fucking kitty cat in comparison to the prince, because you see how dangerous this motherfucker can be. And you're just like, brother, Hua Cheng is nothing compared to this angel-looking secret demon. Because season 2, bro's crashing out constantly, and I love that. So I think that that's the one thing I really liked about it. Liked about the show. But yeah, the censorship just drops it from being a banger to being a solid show, in my opinion. Okay. Kiseki, Dear to Me goes all the way down here. So I watched up until episode 5 or 6. I can't remember exactly. I dropped that shit when I realized the bro that wanted to be a doctor was in high school and the other guy was like in his late 20s. That's when I was like, get me out of here. I don't care how good it was. I don't care how good the acting was. I don't give a shit. I'm not watching a high schooler date an adult nearing 30 years old. I don't need to see that. I don't want to see it. It shouldn't even be a thing. Like, it was, one sec. I'm streaming. What? Okay, I'll be right down. Okay. Bye. Okay, well, I'll have to go down in like a minute or two. So, what was I saying? The thing is, they could have fixed it so easily by just making him a uni student. Like, it could have been such a simple fix, but they insisted on making him a high school student. They insisted on it. Like, they could have made him a first year uni student, second year uni student, something, bro. But they insisted upon the disgustingly criminal fucking age gap. And it's not even, oh, the age gap makes me feel, no, it's a crime, brother. It's a crime. It's literally a crime. He's a minor. I'm sorry. And because I might have been low-key kind of, it still would have weirded me out. I would have been okay with it if they never like did anything intimate or if they didn't kiss or anything. But they had a kiss and then I was just like, even without the kiss, it's weird and it's disgusting regardless. But it would have been maybe semi kind of digestible, but even then it's weird. Don't get me wrong. And like, when we first learned he's a high school student, I'm like, okay, so they're just kind of like friends now, and then there's going to be a time skip, and then it's going to get romantic. That's what I thought. But before the time skip happens, it gets romantic, and as soon as they kiss that episode, I dropped it. I'm sorry, I'm not watching that. I'm not watching it. I'm already uncomfortable with age gaps, and I'm not watching an underage character date a 30-year-old. That's crazy. I'm sorry. Don't like that. Anyway, before we continue on, I gotta quickly go downstairs. I'll be right back. Honestly, every time on any series I've ever heard about had some questionable. Honestly, that's so true. Like, I'll look at, like, sometimes I'm like, I'll check out Taiwanese one. I'll look through them, and the summary is always like, stepbrothers or uncomfortable age gap or some weird shit. Like, I'm like, can we just have a normal fucking interaction, please? Anyway. Okay. Let Free the Curse of Taekwondo is a masterpiece. That's not a question. Don't get me wrong, the guy in Let Free Curse of Taekwondo fucking pissed me off so hard. But it's a masterpiece. It's like, I love how it shows the impact of like having an abusive caretaker or parent or something, the impact that has on people even far into their 30s. I will say, if I had one criticism, if I have one criticism at the show, it would be how easy his abusive father was let off. Again, this goes into the theme of like elders that do some horrific shit as these kids are growing up, is they're just kind of like low-key forgiven by the end of it because of the culture around elders and they can't do anything wrong. Like that, again, that every criticism I have when it comes to these masterpieces is how soft they are on abusive elders or just, you know, parents that aren't good parents. Does it have a happy ending? Well, if you want spoilers, yeah, it does. I'll just say it has a happy ending. I'll say that much. But it's very, there's a very depressive moments for sure. I don't think it's the most depressing series I've watched. I think there's more good and hopeful moments than depressing moments, but the depressing moments are depressing. I'll tell you that much. It's a really good show though. Highly recommend it if you haven't watched it. Like the cinematography, like the directing on this show, like just if you're someone that's obsessed with like cinematography and like the actual creation of like set design and all that stuff and just like small hints that directors put in shows, this is a must watch. Like I would say the director for this show, who also directed To My Star, is the best BL director I've experienced out of all the shows I've watched. It's just a masterclass in directing, honestly. But yeah, cinematography is next level as well. So I highly recommend it. If you're into that, if you really are like a film head, then you will love that show. Okay, Light on Me, masterpiece. I love Light on Me. Light on Me is like my favorite. It's my favorite BL. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring it up here. There's a couple of reasons. Which one pissed you off? The one that left? Yeah, the one that left for a while. Like, and I understood why he did the things he did in Free the Curse of Taekwondo. I understood it was his trauma, make him make these decisions. I understood his reasoning, but you know, you know someone's reasoning, but they still piss you off. Like with the decisions they make. Like I understood where he came from, but I didn't agree with the decisions he was making, if that makes sense. Because people always say when you disagree with someone, it means that you don't understand where they're coming from. It's like, no, I don't think that. Most characters that I dislike when they make their decisions, I always understand where they're coming from. Doesn't mean I agree with where they're coming from, like, if that makes sense. Yeah, Light on Me. I love Light on Me. I think it is very much, it's more of a chill, calm show, but it's not. I think people have this idea in their head where a show that's dark and gritty means that that's the only type of show that can be cinematically amazing. But I think Light on Me does this when it comes to character writing. Was just next level. I think people might not have that view just because it's such a adorable kind of upbeat show most of the time. But I think the cinematography is pretty fire. The character writing was next level. Good. Because I think what Light on Me did really well, they did that like tsundere character really well. You know, sometimes you'll have the cold character, enemies to lovers type shit, and then the cold guy is like semi-abusive. Light on Me does it in a very tasteful way where he is kind of like standoffish at the beginning, but he's never like mean or cruel about it. So I think they managed to get the trope of like enemies to lovers without making it toxic, which is really hard to do. And I think another reason Light on Me was really good is because they went with the 16 episode like K-drama formula. You know, a lot of BLs are like 10 episodes, 8 episodes, 6 episodes, like they're short. So I think I say it every time, every BL I watch, I'm like, if this was 16 episodes, it would be a good like banger show. And Light on Me has that above a lot of other shows, is that it does have that 16 episodes formula, which gives it time to it gives you time to be in the world, invest in the world, and understand the characters more. Or I feel like when you have these 8 episode shows, even the best ones, you don't have enough time to be and sit with these characters. So you know what I mean? So I feel like Light on Me has that going for it, which is a big strength. And the characters are good. The acting is amazing. I like the cinematography. My one criticism, again, of it is, I think that one girl that does quite questionable things in Light on Me, I feel like she was let off a bit easy, but I also understand she's a high school kid. So I'm just like, I'll let it off because it's like, you're a high school kid, you're going to do some dumb shit. It's not like a parent being abusive or anything, but honestly, that's just an issue I have with a lot of like Korean drama or Asian dramas. They do insist on making everyone a good guy at the end. But she was a high school kid, so I get her being a bit dumb with her decisions. That's probably my only criticism with that show. But it's definitely a show I think I've watched since reacting to it. I've rewatched it probably like 3 times. Revenge Love is 24 episodes. I hope you watched that one. Honestly, that is one of the considerations for my next BL. But I'm still not sure yet what I'm going to check out. I'll probably, what's today? So probably on Monday, I'll probably be starting a new BL. I'm still not sure what it is. Revenge Love is on the potential list though, I'll say that. It sounds messy though. I can't remember the exact summary, but I think it's something to do with like, this guy I think he gets cheated on or he gets broken up with or something. And then to get revenge, he tries to get with his ex's boyfriend? Ex-boyfriend? I don't know, something like, I can't remember the exact summary. It sounds messy though, I'll say that much. Because I'd read the like synopsis or the summary of it because I was just looking at potential BLs to watch. Anyway, that's enough on that. Love for Love's Sakes is a masterpiece as well. I'm gonna put Given down here. I'm gonna say I probably enjoyed Love for Love's Sakes more than Let Free the Curse of Taekwondo, because what I really like about Love for Love's Sakes, it was kind of low-key fantasy vibes, and I think the plot twist at the end wasn't like out of nowhere. You know, sometimes there'll be a crazy plot twist at the end of like a show, and then you'd be like, okay, where the fuck did that come from? Like, where the fuck did that come from? Love for Love's Sakes has a crazy plot twist, which I don't want to spoil here, obviously, if you haven't watched it. But it's something that was hinted at from like the first scene as well. If you've watched the show, you know the plot twist I'm talking about, or I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah, where he does, like, where everything all comes together. Like, it's really good, honestly. The cinematography is on point, the acting is good, the dynamic between the relationship is actually real. Like, it makes, I believe it. You know, sometimes you watch a show and you're just like, I don't believe that these two actually like each other, let alone love each other. Like, sometimes you watch a show, I'm like, these are too stiff. I think it's believable as fuck. Yeah, it's a really good show. Okay, now this is the behemoth. It's not even a question of what. It's not even a question. Love in the Big City. It's just up there. It's number one. It's got to be. Now, I kind of struggled with this because I wasn't sure if to include this or not, because I don't really classify it as a BL. Like, Love in the Big City, I don't really classify it as BL. I classify it as a show that happens to have a gay character in it, you know? Because I feel like I don't know, maybe this is just me. I feel like there's a clear divide between the BL genre versus having gay characters in the show. I feel like if the focus is of the romance between these two characters, then I would call it a BL. If the focus is not the romance, but that's just kind of that's something that happens in the show, then I wouldn't classify it as a BL, if that makes sense. Like, I think Love in the Big City is more about his growth as a person and the decisions he makes, wrong and correct, and the way that shapes him. That's what I feel like Love in the Big City is, as opposed to a love story. So that's why it was a bit hard to classify it as a BL, but I'm going to say it's in there just for the sake of argument. And it's number one. It's so interesting because what I love about Love in the Big City is he continuously makes the dumbest, most incorrect decisions, and he pays the consequences for those decisions. And I love that, you know. His character is so... I love his character because he's so fucking stupid. Like, every decision he makes is the wrong one. But I understand it, all the trauma. Again, this again plays into another thing I have, an issue I have, is his mum just being fully forgiven is crazy to me. I understand maybe... I actually don't understand. I'm gonna be straight up. It's just this. But I guess this show was like semi, I believe it was semi-biographical, so it was like kind of a true story based on the guy that wrote the book for it. So in that instance, I think I can definitely see that, because the decisions that are being made is a very realistic thing. Like, this is not I can clearly see this is not just like some fictional character, because this is the type of decisions real people make. Real people, unfortunately, make dumb choices all the time. Like, you know, you see dramas and you're like, oh, this guy's such a green flag and he's so perfect. And like, that's, even the most green flag person in life, in the real world, makes dumb choices all the time. So, like, the realistic novel, how realistic it is makes sense that it's, you know, semi-biographical. But it's really good still. It's really good, but you will be frustrated a lot of the time. But despite disagreeing with every choice he makes, it's one of those weird things where I really like the character in Love in the Big City, despite him making the dumbest choices he can at every, like, at every conjuncture in his life, he makes the wrong decision. But it's still really good. Okay. Moonlight Chicken dropped it. It's not... People have been asking, why haven't you dropped the last 2 episodes? I dropped the show, that's why. I was so excited getting into Moonlight Chicken because everyone was hyping it up so hard. Like, so hard. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be fucking fire. Let's watch this. And I was just so bored out of my mind, honestly, trying to get through this. Like, the only bright spots was the relationship between the 2 high school kids, Hart and what was the other guy's name? Lee something. I forget his name. That was the only like bright spot in that. Everything else, I was just like so not interested by anything. I feel like the acting was a bit lackluster. The plot kind of just felt like nothing was happening, you know? It felt like, I don't know, man. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it. It was just too calm. And it was, I don't know, there was something about the characters. It felt like everyone was a red flag almost. Not a red flag, but everyone was like a bit not, like everyone was just, I don't know, man. Everyone was just, it was just, the main like triangle was just weird because they were trying to, like, in hindsight, you know, having watched those first 6 episodes, they paint the guy's ex, Wen, I think his ex, they paint him as the bad guy, but then I'm actually considering the actual things that happen in the show. And I'm just like, you know what, low key, I feel like he's the one that's not to blame in this whole situation. Because if you think about it, if you experienced what was happening in that relationship with Wen and the glasses guy, you'd react the same way as the glasses dude. So I think in hindsight, looking back at it, I feel like the main couple were kind of bad guys in the comparison of that trio. Not bad guys, but they weren't like, they weren't innocent. Well, at least Wen wasn't, because I'm thinking, like, he just kept bro on standby, really. And of course, if you were the glass guy, you'd be like, what the fuck? Are we together? Are we not together? Like, what's going on? So in hindsight, I'm thinking back, that could have been why I wasn't vibing with it as well, because I just genuinely didn't agree with the characters, the main duo. I think that's what it was, eh? It was boring as well, I'm be straight up. I get why people can like it though. I just didn't like it. So, okay. Next show is what's the next show? Oh yeah, My Love Mixup Japanese edition. Because I think they have a Thai version of it as well. I'm gonna say it's solid. Like, I kind of have this, yeah, I think it's a solid show because I believe it's inspired by an anime as well. I might be wrong about that, but it's like cute, it's adorable, it's funny. It doesn't do anything crazy. It doesn't do anything special, obviously, but it's funny, it's cute, it's a good watch, it's fun. I think it's a solid show, honestly. I think when it comes to comedy acting, it's probably got every other show beat because I think the comedy acting in this is on point. Like, what's really cool, the actors managed to use anime comedy and logic and translate it quite well to the live action format. I think that's where, so I'm going to actually put this above Cherry Magic. I think that's where Cherry Magic fails a bit, where they have that anime comedy, but they can't really translate it well to the live action format, which is where it struggles. Where I think My Love Mixup can really translate that anime format of comedy to a live action in a pretty seamless way. Like the main guy, Aoki, he was very over the top, but it didn't feel cringe over the top, if that makes sense. So I definitely think they did well on the things Cherry Magic struggled with, which that's why I'd rank it above that. Okay, My School President. I'm gonna say it's a banger. It was my first Thai BL. I think it's my only Thai BL I've watched, actually. I say my first as if I've watched any other. I tried to watch Moonlight Chicken, so I guess that you could count that as well. But yeah, it was my first Thai BL. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it really was a lesson in communicating properly with your partner and how that can lead to a long-lasting, proper relationship. I also loved the way they explored the parent and child relationships in this show, where even when the parents were being a bit, like, even when Tin's mum was being a hard ass, it wasn't that she was trying to control her son or anything. It was literally from a place of, okay, I'm trying to do the best I can for my kid. And you see her kind of accept that and accept maybe mistakes she's been making, and she kind of recalibrates and then is like, okay, this is how I need to care for my kid. So it was like the parents didn't view their kids as this extension of themselves. They viewed it like, okay, how can I be the best parent to this kid? Which is what I really liked. Like, obviously the relationship stuff was cool, and like the way they communicate is really like healthy. But also, honestly, my favorite part were the parents and just how good they were. Like, I started the show being a bit like raising my eyebrow at Tin's mum, but then by the end, she was like my favorite character. His dad was hilarious as well. Honestly, that was a good show. Yeah, it was a banger. Okay, Our Dating Sim. I'm gonna say it's fun. Again, I would put it above Cherry Blossoms, but Our Dating Sim's in one of those shows. It's a fun show. It's not anything crazy. It's an interesting idea. I like watching. I've watched it multiple times, but yeah, it's a fun show. Really good thing about it was that you could actually believe that the characters are nice. Yeah, 100%. That's so true. You can fully be like, oh, these are high school kids. 1,000,000%. I think so far, my experience with BLs, one thing I really am, like, one positive I'll say is the way they cast their cast is, I believe they're high school kids, or I believe they're in uni or whatever. I feel like when it comes to choosing actors, they choose, like, the age demographic is always quite well chosen, I feel. Like, there's never a BL I'm watching and I'm like, oh, these kids aren't in high school. I think they're pretty good with that, personally. I'm just trying to think, is there any show where it's kind of... No, most shows, I would say, age-wise, they've cast pretty well. At least the shows that I've watched. But yeah, I do think My School President is one of the better cast shows, for sure. Like, even the age of the parents, like, I can believe that she's got a kid in high school. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes I feel like they make these parents look like they're in their 60s. I'm like, which high school kid has a parent in their 60s and 70s. Like, that's crazy. Why are their parents so old? I think even the parent, like, casting is really well done. Like, you know, his mum's Max in his, like, 40s. You know, his dad looks like he's in his late 30s, early 40s Max. You know, like, realistic as fuck. Weak Hero Class. Weak Hero Class is definitely, like, gets that treatment. Like, they look like 45-year-olds. I feel like in season 2 it was much better. I feel like in Weak Hero Class season 2, I feel like they, age-wise, I think they did pretty well. There was some characters that were a bit iffy, but season 1, bro, was insane. Like, those 2 bullies, like the 2 henchmen bullies in season 1, they looked like they were 45 with that worked a laboring job. Like, what are you doing in high school, bro? But yeah. Anyway, secret relationships. Okay. Okay, I feel like this is a hard one because it's kind of on the cusp for me. I would say if there was a rank between masterpieces and bangers, I'll put it there. But because there's not, I'll just put it at the top of the bangers list. I feel like Secret Relationships is really good. Now, my criticisms kind of lay in one thing, and it's more, I guess, it's not really their fault. It's more of, I guess it's more of the fan response than anything else. And maybe the way that they kind of were painting certain characters in certain lights. You know, it's like, for example, Suyun, right? He was clearly abusive, but because they painted him in quite a softer light in comparison to the king of psychos fucking belongs in a mental hospital, Jaemin, he didn't seem too bad, and I think that tricked a lot of fans and viewers to be like, oh, he should have been with Suyun instead of Green Flag Bro. I'm sorry, I still am blanking on his name. Because his name's so similar to Suyun's name that I always forget it. Anyway, but it made people think, oh, he should have got with Suyun. But I'm like, bro, he was abusive. Like, he should not have gotten with him at all. So I think the reason it's not a masterpiece for me, I think they struggled in maintaining the balance because Jaemin was such a fucking psychopath. They struggled in showing just how abusive Suyun was as well. And it caused a lot of people with lacking brains to be like, oh, he should have got with Suyun at the end. I'm like, no, he shouldn't have. All I'm saying is if anyone wanted him to get with Jaemin or Suyun, you really shouldn't enter a relationship. Go to therapy first and then do that. Because if you think anyone should be in a relationship with either of those two, you need to be in therapy. I'm sorry to tell you guys. It's all fun and games when someone's like possessive in a show and it might be cute and thing. In real life, I'll get the fuck out of my face with that shit. Like, in real life, do you know what? If you got into a relationship with a person like Suyun in real life, you know what's going to happen? Oh, it's going to be all cute possessiveness at start. Before you know it, probably we're going to get some domestic violence happening. Before you know it, you're probably not going to be able to leave the house. You're going to be distanced from your family and your friends. Then in 5-10 years, you're going to be like a ghost. That's the reality of that relationship. Like, that's the reality of that relationship. So, yeah, it's just... That's why I wouldn't classify it as a masterpiece, just because I feel like they struggled to show just how bad Suyun was as well. But yeah. And also, my one other criticism, Suyun's like changing from this hyper possessive, abusive guy to be like him realizing, oh, I fucked up. I feel like it happened too suddenly. I wish we got like hints of him realizing like, what am I doing throughout the show? Instead of it happening all at once when he sees Jaemin's a psycho and he's like, I don't want to be like that. I feel like they should have made that more progressive throughout the show instead of it just happening like this. So, honestly, I might bring it down to solid because it's a good show and it does really interesting things, but I think there's a lot of things that it just fails to do as well. Like the acting is on point. 100% acting's on point. There was only one good option. Even the puppy guy had some red flags. Did he? I guess, yes. I wouldn't call them red flags. I would say the yellow flags for sure. Yeah, there was the drunk kiss. The drunk kiss for sure was. I think it would say orange flag territory. Like, I wouldn't call it a red flag exactly, but yeah, kissing a drunk person is always a bit. It's very questionable. Don't do that in real life, please. So yeah, that was quite a red flag. Actually, in hindsight, yeah, that was quite a red flag behavior. I didn't clock it at the time, but yeah, you're right. The drunk kiss was kind of crazy, but I would say yeah, he was kind of a yellow flag at times. Like especially when he wouldn't let Daeon explain and communicate with Daeon when he not caught, but when he saw the hickey and stuff, like he didn't let him even explain what was going on, which I get that response. But yeah, he had moments where it was a bit of a yellow flag for sure. But I think that is almost makes it, honestly, that makes it more interesting as a show. That like levels it up for me, because the idea that he's not perfect and he's not a perfect guy shows a level of realism. And I think what was more important than him being this perfect white knight that saves Daeon from all the bad dudes is Daeon actively making a choice to choose what he wants, right? And actively seeking that out himself. I think that's what's important. It's not the relationship and which guy he chooses isn't important, which is what I really like. It's what's important is Daeon making that choice, because the other two guys have basically, as long as he's known them, made every choice for him or forced these choices on him through manipulation or like pure force or whatever it might be. So yeah, he was a bit of a yellow flag at times, but I think it made the story better, in my opinion. Like, The Secret Relationships is one of those shows where I feel like you could have a 16 episode show. I was going to get into that. A 16 episode show could have made it a masterpiece, because what they should have done, in my opinion, and I talked about it in my reaction, there should have been like a big chunk of the show where Daeon just was like, you know what, I'm gonna choose me. I'm gonna go to therapy. I'm gonna explore myself. I need to learn who I am outside of you guys. And then you could have had him come back. Maybe you would have had a time skip or something, and then he reunites with Puppy Bro, and then they learn to kind of communicate better, and then maybe get together after that. I feel like if they did that, it would have been so much better. But again, I understand they had a limited amount of episodes. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is Daeon should have chose therapy first and then came back and then do whatever he wanted to do. 100%, but you have 8 episodes, so I get it. You know, I understand. But yeah, it's a solid show though. It was still a solid show. Okay, semantic error. Okay. So this is a bit hard to choose, because Semantic Error was my first BL and I really enjoy it, and cinematography is on point. I really like it. I'm just trying to think back at all the things that happen in Semantic Error. I will actually tell you a bit of a funny story about Semantic Error. So I watched Semantic Error, right? And then I found out it was a webtoon. And so I watched the drama first. So I went to the webtoon, bro, and when I tell you that shit was like a flashbang. If you've read the webtoon, you know what I'm talking about. I'd watched the drama, right? It's cute and adorable and it's funny and whatever. And I go to the webtoon, bro, literally chapter 1, someone's getting their dick sucked. I'm just like, what the fuck just happened? What is this show? Well, I mean, what is this web drama? What is webtoon? I'm just like, literally, chapter 1. I want to say maybe first 5 pages. I was trying to read it, and I'm just like, this shit. This is not a drama. This is not a drama. This is a fucking porno. What's the hell is going on in this? But let's talk about the drama. Let's talk about the actual drama. I would say, this is hard. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say it's a banger, but on the lower end. I really liked it. Characters are interesting. They have really good chemistry. Cinematography is amazing. Enemies to lovers dynamic is quite healthy as well, similar to Light on Me. Do I have any? I'm trying to think if I have any potential. Honestly, even like the love rivalry between the girl and Jaehyun, I think his name is, was quite healthy. Like no one was being mean about it. Like as soon as she found out autistic bro liked Jaehyun, she was like, oh, okay, I respect it. It is what it is. So I think that was pretty chill. Yeah, I think it was a banger. Like, there's nothing I can really criticize about it, but I hesitate to call it a masterpiece. I would say it goes in the banger ranking for sure. I do want to kind of rearrange this top layer in a bit, but I want to finish ranking these last 2 ones and then we'll rearrange that. Okay, Eighth Sense. I'm going to chuck it in the masterpiece section. I think the exploration of the, what's his name? The depressed guy. Like the exploration of his severe mental health issues after the death of his brother. The way they explore that is really well done. For the 8 episodes that they have, I think it was the best exploration of mental health I've ever seen. And what's really fascinating about that is I like how they didn't kind of like wrap it up in a bow and he's like, oh, he's not mentally ill anymore. No, he still has clear issues he needs to work through, but he's also reached a point where he can slowly start to kind of heal, I guess, or maybe not even heal, but to kind of like accept the things in his life. So it wasn't like, oh, he's fixed now, because that's not how it works. So I think it was very realistic in how they explored his mental health and his, you know, his struggles and things like that. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing else, I guess, really that I can criticize about the Eighth Sense. Again, this is like a running theme, I feel like, at this point. My one criticism is again on his dickhead best mate and his hoe ex for suddenly being redeemed. Well, not redeemed, but they're suddenly good guys, kind of, potentially, at the end of the show. Again, annoyed the shit out of me, but like, at least with his hoe ex, it was a matter of like, they just kind of had closure. They weren't really friends again. They just kind of like had some type of like, they were kind of amicable to one another. Like, they were kind of chill, but like they kind of ended that relationship. But his dickhead best mate, they became friends again. I was just like, what? Bro, he did some low dog shit to you. But it is what it is, I guess. That's probably my one criticism of the Eighth Sense. But other than that, yeah, nothing I can think of. Okay, to my star. So this is both seasons. It's gonna be a masterpiece again for me. So I'm gonna rearrange these rankings. This isn't the final ranking. So to my star, season 1. If it was just season 1, I would say it was a solid show, but not anything special. Season 2, really just, they went next level. Like, I was so annoyed, as you know, in my reaction, by the actions that were being, that, you know, the choices that were being made. But from a storytelling perspective, from a cinematography perspective, from just like character building and story building and all, but from that perspective, man, it just like jumped leaps and bounds in quality from season 1 to season 2. Like, it's a slog to get through because you're so irritated by the decisions that he's making. But from a storytelling perspective, like purely just removed from any emotions, it's so wonderfully told. And again, I think similar to the Eighth Sense, Two Must Stars is a really good exploration of how mental struggles affect the way you respond to things, and like childhood traumas, the way you respond to things. Because we clearly know, for whatever reason, they still didn't really explain it too well, why the they still didn't explain it really well why the village was always beefing with him. They kind of explained it, not fully, but like that experience really, I feel like, created the decisions that I think his name was Jiwoo was making throughout the show. So I think every like character moment was explained pretty well. But yeah, I do feel like the explanation of why the village treated him the way they did makes me be like, okay, why though? I still don't understand. I feel like they didn't explain it too well. Like, it was like they explained it, but it was like one of those things of like, yeah, but why are you hating on a kid? I like, that was the one thing that was like a bit shaky about, but ignoring that, honestly, it was a fucking masterpiece. Okay. So that's all my rankings. Now we're going to rearrange some things because I don't like the way I've put certain things in certain places. So I'm going to drop... Okay. So I'm actually going to chuck Cherry Magic down to fun. I haven't seen this one because my friend told me I have to be in a good place mentally to go for it. Not, yeah, you 100% need to be ready. You need to. It's not something you can just sit down and be like, oh, just chuck it on now. You got to be ready for that show. Season 1 you can just watch, but season 2 you got to be fucking ready. Okay, I'm gonna chuck down that fun. Okay. Honestly, I might drop Semantic Error down to solid, because I don't think it's that much better than Secret Relationships to be in bangers. So I'm going to drop it down to solid, because I think it was a fucking solid show. But it's not one of those shows that I, like, will constantly rewatch. So that's why I feel like putting in the banger section is a bit too much. So I'm going to chuck that into the solid rank. Okay. I'm going to put Let Taekwondo Be Free. I'm going to put it in the bangers because I think it's really good. But again, there was those criticisms with the way they dealt with the father. And then also, additionally, I do think the way the traumatized bro acted and just kind of didn't really even apologize for how cruel he was in the second half of the show, kind of was like, kind of annoyed me. So I would say that just lowered it down a bit. Like Semantic Error, just from if we're talking about pure iconicness, it would be ranked number 1. For me, it's the most iconic BL that I've watched. That's how I feel about it. Maybe it's because it's the first one I watched. I'm not sure, but there's something about it that's very iconic. Okay, so I'm going to keep the masterpieces where they are, but I'm just going to rearrange the order of them. So I'm going to keep Love in the Big City at number 1. I'll probably... Light on Me will be number 2 for me, still. I will probably say Given. I'll probably put Given to the end of this list. Actually, you know what? I'm probably going to replace Given and Blooming. I'm going to put Blooming at the end of Masterpiece, put Given at the top of Bangers. To My Star. It's really... Okay. So I'm going to put Love for Love's Sakes after To My Star and The Eighth Sense. Now, it's really a question of, is Eighth Sense third place or To My Star? I feel like just from the fact that To My Star had more time to explore these characters and really grow on me, I think just for that reason, it's going to be above The Eighth Sense. The Eighth Sense is really good, but I think To My Star is on the same level of quality, but it's just given more time to marinate as well. I love when female characters in BLs are actually characters, not placeholders and stereotypes. My love Mixup. Yeah, my love Mixup. Oh, actually, you know what? Just because you reminded me of that, I'm gonna put this up in Bangers. Like that actually something that's actually something I didn't really clock at the time. Like as I was doing it, I forgot all about what was her name? Hashimoto? I think that was her name. She was a really good character. And probably the first one, I think one of the only few like female characters that genuinely felt like a character outside of, oh, these guys are going to get together. So I actually agree. It's going to go up a ranking just because of that. Forgot all about her. Be straight up. So honestly, I might have enjoyed My Love Mix-Up more than My School President, so might put My School President down there. I'm trying to think, like right now. Honestly, I actually feel uncomfortable with the idea that Semantic Error is below My School President. Honestly, I might replace those. I really like My School President, don't get me wrong. Maybe we'll just put this in my Bangers as well, actually. Actually, no, it's gonna go in, I think it's gonna have to go into Solid. I think My School President is solid now. I'm sorry to the MSB fans, but just... Yeah, it just doesn't feel right to put it on the level of these shows for me. Just enjoyment-wise. I really enjoyed My School President, don't get me wrong, but I'm just thinking in comparison to these other shows. I think, yeah, Given, I think I'm comfortable with that. Actually... Oh, this is a hard one, actually. You know what? I'll give MSB. I'll put it in Bangers. It's fine. I might put Given. Let's see. I might chuck this. No. Might be number one, and then... did I enjoy Given more than My School President? I would say that's in the middle. But this is hard. These two... I would say Given is probably above that. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm chucking this down to the top tier of Solid. I'm sorry. It's just... it doesn't feel right for it to be in the Bangers section. Honestly, I might drop Love for Love's Sakes into the top of the Banger section because I feel like it doesn't belong above Blooming. Oh, okay. Okay, so I've got a bit of a crisis happening right now. I've got a bit of a crisis right now, right? So, Love in the Big City and Light on Me. I think narratively, cinematically, if we're speaking purely through just technical perspective and just like as a show and like removing my emotion of it out, Love in the Big City is number one, undoubtedly. However, if we're talking about enjoyment personally, Light on Me is number one for me. So I'm not sure how to go about this. Do I go about this purely from a non-emotional perspective, or is it my personal? Should I go from my personal enjoyment? I'm gonna go my personal enjoyment. So I'm gonna say Light on Me. I know it's not the better show. Like I want to underline this. I know it's not the better show. It's actually like anyone could tell me that, and I agree. I enjoyed it more than Love in the Big City though. Personally, because like Shinwoo to this day is my favorite character in any BL I've ever watched to this day. Which one would I recommend to someone first? It depends. It depends on your history. If you've watched a lot of BLs before, I would recommend Love in the Big City just because of how fresh it is. I feel like if you're someone that's relatively new to the BL genre, then I would recommend Light on Me. Personally, that's how I feel. Okay, To My Star, good spot. Blooming, yeah, I like where that is. 8th Sense, I like where that is. Love for Love's Sakes, yeah. Taekwondo, yeah, that's a good spot. I might replace Semantic Error and My Love Mixup. Yeah, My School President, Secret Relationships, Heaven Official's Blessing, yep. I like it. That's the list. That's my list. Oh, is it though? Yeah, that's my list. Yeah, that's my list. Now, I will add a caveat to you guys. To My Star is my top 3, right? I'll add a caveat though. My opinion of it, it is amazing. It's a masterpiece, right? But I will never ever watch it again. I think it is amazing. But I will never rewatch it. That's how I'll tell you. It's one of those shows that you'll watch once, but you will never watch it again. Unless you are a masochist. You will never touch it ever again. You know? Like the 8th Sense, I've watched 3 times since I've reacted to it. Blooming, I've watched 2 times since I reacted to it. Light on Me, I've watched probably a total of 10 times already. But To My Star is one of those shows you will never touch again. Unless, like I said, unless you like feeling pain. You know, it's like, yeah, it's one of those shows for sure. So that's my list. Let's save and download it just so I have a document for my next BL tier list in a year from now.